Cypher controls every single round. In this video, I'm going to break down Cypher's full kit, his tripwires, cages, cameras, and how to get value on attack and defense so you can win every round. This is the only guide you're going to need, so let's get into it. When it comes to tripwires, there are 3 rules that you can do to make sure you have the perfect tripwire. Place your tripwires where the enemy team can't clear whilst they're moving. So if they're moving like this, it's going to be much harder for them to do this. And spot the tripwire. Place tripwires where they trigger after the enemy team commits. So if an enemy team is pushing the site, they clear most of this. They don't see any Cypher utility. They say, okay, let's go plant this bag. Uh-oh. Let's go push back site. Uh-oh. So trips like that are fantastic. Place them in the path of the enemies. And don't place tripwires where enemies usually are pre-aiming. So if as an enemy, you usually expect Cypher tripwires to be in the very common spots. Doing tripwires in very common spots like this on Haven means a Sova dart or raise nade can break it. So try and place it further back, something like this. It's fantastic. It avoids all the utility and you'll be safe. Place tripwires nice and low. That's quite fun. And it allows you to unlock new angles to put your tripwires down. Enemies usually have their crosshairs around this height, or they expect trips to be around chest, stomach height. They'll pre-fire stuff like this, but they won't expect it to be on the floor. It completely throws their crosshair placement off, and that's when you can swing and kill them. Be careful though, if they have a sky, a fade, or a raised boombot that comes in, it can clear this, and then they can easily break the tripwire. So look at who is on the enemy team and adapt accordingly. I did a low tripwire over here because I want Jet to dash over it, and then I want her teammates to walk into it. If I isolate the fight with a Jet, my life is much easier, and then I can kill the rest of the team. I need aim training because I couldn't break that dart, but it's okay. They proceed to push me. I've still got my camera up. I can see everything. I want them to be distracted by that camera. I wait the deadlock utility so I don't get caught like a little clown. I isolate the fire now. Jet dashed over, and then her teammates, as I predicted, walked straight into him. I spray, I ult to find out exactly where the rest of the team are, because I didn't hear too many come out onto site. We get the deadlock. Now we can see Sova's rotating, and Clove is stuck. I swing, we kill her, and we ended up killing Sova at the end. If the enemy team has a Jet, Raze, or Whaley, usually they're like landing towards heaven or going onto higher parts of the map, such as this on Abyss. So you can have tripwires that trigger when they land on them. So when the barrier goes down, you can do something like this, or just as simple like this, and they usually will land in the tripwire mid-dash, and that's when you can kill them. Other examples to stop these kind of duelists are like this on Lotus, and like this on Split. The whole point of your cages are to isolate fights, give you information, delay the push, and allow you to reposition and escape to other parts of site, or even to take new angles. Sometimes you'll feel like you're going to get overwhelmed, especially in 3v5s, or when the enemy team has more players. You can use your cage to hide in. You don't have to get the kills from the trip straight away. Use it to reposition, relocate, hide, pop out, and I managed to get 3. Deadlock did end up dying, it just took quite a long time for us to kill her. Don't instantly activate cages the moment you see someone. Wait for them to get a little bit closer until they're around this area of your cage, until they're directly underneath or in the center of where the cage would be, and then activate. Now they're stuck. They either run away, but you can spray them, or they push out. But then you have your teammates and yourself to peek the little guy that got unlucky. Your one-way cages can isolate fights, turn them into a 1v1 and favor you. You see this Jet? She's going to pop out of showers. So let's keep looking at showers. There she is. One-way cage, she's confused. We kill her. She gets very upset. So do learn some one-way cages and peek only after they've gotten inside the cage. Don't do it too early. If the enemy team hasn't committed yet, don't activate the cage straight away, because that's your utility. You want your utility to be up and active around the same time. They can just wait this out and then they can push. Now you don't have any smokes. And if they do hit your tripwires, you have to peek it blindly. You don't have any cover. So make sure you're very careful when activating your cages. Your camera isn't just for kills. It helps you make decisions. It is your second set of eyes. A checklist I have when starting each round is, does the cam see clearly the entirety of sight? Yes. Is it hard to pre-fire, to pre-aim? Yes. And is it safe to open mid-round? Yes. An example is like this one on Breeze. Or something like this. Cams are nice and high, last longer, and give you more information. This is why Cyphers can climb to very high ranks, because it's very hard for enemies to shoot this, and it's like you've got a second teammate that's watching you in the sky. If I was an enemy, and I push out onto sight, I hear the camera, but the only way to break it is if I look all the way up and break my movement path. And now I'm vulnerable, so if I was playing backside, I can now just swing the guy looking at my camera, get a free kill. This just shows the value of a very high up camera and having it up for as long as the round lasts. They had no idea what to do. Also, I had to BM. This guy was clowning on me since round 1. See, the camera's still up. Chamber's confused. He panics. We swing in. Some cams give you early information, like this one on Breeze. You can see clearly who's pushing. You can also see pretty far into mid. But enemies will shoot this straight away, and now you don't have vision. So it's great on pistol rounds if you want that snap of information early. Or when the barrier goes down, you can do a camera like this, see who's there, beep beep, and you can tell your teammates to rotate, especially if it's a rush on a pistol round. Your utility should complement each other. If you have a camera that's nice and safe, you should have passive tripwires. So something like this, maybe something like this. Put a gauge right here, one down there, and you're tucked in, you're safe. Now as people are pushing out onto sight, you can ping them with your camera, you can activate gauges. If they want to plant, your camera's still seeing everything. Activate the cage, push out, kill them, and then use this cage to reposition and hide and wait for your team. This cam will allow you to make decisions like that. If you have a passive camera, have a passive setup. If you have an aggressive camera, have a more aggressive setup. When it comes to playing defense, try not to stand in places where enemies usually will have their crosshairs. So if I was playing C-site as a Cypher, if I'm playing here, and I've got a setup maybe something like this, and then I've got maybe something in garage, or I've got another thing like this to prevent the actual plant. Cage over there, cage over here. Very boring, very simple. And a camera like this is my favorite camera. Jeez. Okay. Try not to play directly here, because enemies will pre-aim this corner. When you're clearing a site, you are looking here to see if someone's swinging it. And if they get hit by your Cypher tripwire, they usually would expect you to be in this area. They can even warbang this, so be careful. You could play in an area like this. They don't expect that. Especially as a Cypher, it's a different angle for you to take. Beep beep. You can see all of sight still. You can warbang through this box if your cages have run out. You get a little bit of cover that way. I saw they had a breach ult this round, so I wanted to play to the left. I have a cage in front of me to smoke me off in case they do ult me, and they did. This covers me, so not many people can see me. Jet could barely see me too, because of this cage cover that I had. They're distracted by my trips. They don't get hit, so they assume Cypher's left. I'm still here. I managed to win the round, just by a simple positioning trick. And when attacking as a Cypher, lurk after your team makes contact. So let's say your team is pushing A main, and you're lurking up mid. Wait for your team to make a little bit of noise and contact on A, and then you go lurk. If you lurk too early, you have no impact, because enemies can actually be holding this, and when they see a Cypher in mid, they're going to be like, oh, they can take the fight or they can run away, because your lurk's been ruined. It's not too good. And they'll be alert at all times. Whereas if your teammates make a bit of noise on A, wait a second and then push up, you most likely will catch enemies as they are rotating. You can get a free kill, you can decide to commit, or you can go back and help your team. When the plant goes down, Cypher does become stronger. You get post-plant setups. So if the spike's planted here, you can use some of your defense setups as an attack setup. And the spike there. If enemies are coming, uh-oh, and then you can swing them. If you are lurking, make sure you always put a tripwire behind your team. And if you want, you can back them up with a camera. It helps you see a lot of main. For most maps, you can do an early vision camera just to help clear their sight a little bit better. So enemies see your Cypher cam, they think you're going with your team. Next thing you know, you're walking up into mid. So that's how you want to set up before you lurk. You can, if you want, place a tripwire behind you, such as this one on split. so you don't get flanked, and then you can simply start the round off in mid and lurk up. I do have an attack guide explaining all of this in more detail, so please do check that out. What should you do when they keep breaking your tripwires? Let's say you're doing tripwires like this, or even tripwires like this. What do? They use utility. They know where they are. You can change the height of the tripwire if you want. You can place your tripwires a little bit later. Let's say they raise nades at the start. You can have a cage set up there. Activate the cage. When the raise grenade blows up and finishes, then you can place your utility down. That's also fine. Be careful. It is risky. You can actually use your cages and walk inside them to reposition. They won't expect this, especially if they've already broken your tripwires. They'll be hunting you down and be like, where is he? You're going to be in your cage. You can swing out and kill them. If the enemy team doesn't come to your site, pick up your camera and then rotate. You don't always have to leave every single bit of your utility on the site. You can use your camera as a retake. Let's say no one's coming A and it's C. It's going to be very hard for your team to retake if the enemy has this area smoked off. But now that you've got your camera back up, you can place it nice and high. Boom, quick scan. You can even use your camera as a flashbang. So let's say this has been smoked off. The moment you place your cam, they're going to aim for the cam. Boom, you can swing out. This is fantastic in a 1v1. In a 2v1, it's not that good, but in 1v1s, if you're alone, something like that's fantastic. So camera for retake is great, especially if you're rotating sites, especially on maps like Bind, where retake is a heavy part of the map. It's good to have a cage for retake, especially in situations like this. You can use your cage to block corners off, walk into them, let the enemy team push up and plant, think they're safe, swing out, reposition, get some kills. Cypher's ult is extremely situational. If it's a 2v5, then you can use yours to find out where the enemy team are. You can use it to find out if the enemy team is rotating on attack maybe, and then pick a site to hit. Just be careful though, you don't really need to use it all the time in a 4v1 unless that guy's insane and you want to know if he's planting on site, or maybe he's slowly killing you guys off. You can know exactly where he is and surround him. But it's very situational, and you will learn as you play more games, so don't worry too much about his ult. Okay, I hope this video helped you guys out. Do join my Discord server. I try and upload every Friday at 2 PM GMT, so I will see you in my next video.